How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today, I wanted to talk to you about RV slide stabilizers. There's a lot of different opinions out there on them. Some, they can destroy your RV and mess up your slide, and some people use them and love them. So what is the story behind the RV slide stabilizers? And a few videos ago when I was talking about RVing bad habits, I mentioned that we used them. It was one of our bad habits, that they're not good always for the RV. And so why would I be doing something that could potentially ruin the RV? So let's dive into that, talking about RV slide stabilizers. Here's the idea behind the slide out stabilizers. It's just a really simple support that when your slide is in the out position, when it's extended, you can adjust this to fit underneath the structure of the slide out. And it'll take the weight of anything additional that goes onto that slide, and it'll transfer that weight, transfer that load down to the ground, which sounds fantastic. It sounds like a great idea. The problem is it might void your warranty and it might cause some problems with your slide. So the problem is if your RV moves a little bit, settling, movement of somebody walking through, wind, whatever it might be, and it settles, but your slide stabilizer does not, then there is now a force on your slide that could potentially cause a problem. So with that said, let me talk to you about the experience that we've had using the slide stabilizers. If we get a new RV, we're not going to be using them anymore. But currently our RV is far outside of the warranty period, 16, 17 years old. We've been using these slide stabilizers for a long time with no issues, so I'm not too worried about it. Ours is not like a Schwintek or a gear and a tooth kind of a drive that can be thrown out of going in and out where it's gonna get askew. So we haven't had to worry about any of that. If I had a Schwintek or anything like that, I definitely would not use these slide stabilizers. But as we see the slide going out, we see that a lot of that weight actually rests along the top of the slide there. So I don't know if you'll be able to see how much the slide tips on the way out, but you'll see it actually hit the top first and then the bottom tucks in down there. You can see it right here, hits, and then the bottom slides in. So you can see how much pressure is actually up there and on those supports going out. And as you can see, looking at our slide, we've modified this RV significantly over the years. We've changed the whole dinette area, we've changed the couch to be able to accommodate more people. And when you're hanging out with friends and you're with another family and it's cold and rainy and windy, and you're not going to be sitting around the campfire because of that, and you want to play a board game, we usually end up in the RV with a decent amount of space. So we've had 4 adults sitting around the table, 3 teenagers sitting on the couch playing video games, and that is a considerable amount of weight. You're talking over 800 pounds of additional weight on the slide, and we're not putting that extra weight on the top there as it kind of tips into place. We're actually just taking that additional stress and putting it on the stabilizers. And there is a noticeable difference when we don't use them compared to when we do have them on. Now, when we don't have these put on, we can notice, because if you're on the slide and somebody else comes on the slide, you can feel it take that additional weight. But with these installed, we don't feel that at all. It takes out that movement. So one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to over crank these when we're putting these on, because that puts additional stress on the slide. So what I did is I put some magnets on here so I could just magnetize it to the rail, and then I just tighten it down to where it barely touches. So that way, if there's additional weight, it catches it, but it's not actually lifting up on it. So using it that way has been successful for us. But I would say that the one thing that makes a huge difference of why they actually work on this specific RV is because we have the steady fast system installed on the RV, and that takes out a lot of the shake or the wobble when everything's set up. If somebody's walking through the RV, you don't feel the whole thing shaking back and forth. There's a massive difference when you tighten that down. It's like the strong arm where it goes from the landing gear up to the frame, but the steady fast crosses the entire frame. It's a long arm of support. We don't have a whole lot of shake or wobble in the RV when people are walking through or when the wind's hitting it. You can feel if we have a strong wind and it hits the side of the RV, but there's not a whole lot of shake and wobble. And because of that, the RV doesn't move much. So we're not really putting much strain, if any, on those slide stabilizers and the slide because there's just not much movement in the RV. I'm a big fan of the steady fast system for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the most effective thing we have found to make it feel solid inside of the RV, to get rid of that shake and wobble. So it's very effective. The second thing is it's really easy to use. It's nothing that I have to bring along or store or move around. It's always attached to the RV, and there's just 3 points that I need to tighten down once we're level and set up that really give us that solid feeling. So it's very effective and it's very fast, and I don't really have to think about it. It just takes a couple of moments. So it's really a no-brainer using it because it doesn't add a length of time to setting up or tearing down. It's literally like an additional 30 seconds. So that's why I like it. It gives us that shear value. So if you think about adding shear to a structure and how much strength that gives you so that things don't rack or move, that's basically the concept behind the steady fast, and it does its job well. But the movement of the RV isn't the only reason why they're not a good idea. The other things are, some people say the RV will settle and those will push up on it. We haven't had that issue in years. We've never had it. We've been using these for years and we've never had that issue. We even had a flat tire when we were set up and using these, and it wasn't an issue. Our stabilizers in the back and our landing gear in the front, we didn't have much movement at all. So we haven't had any of those problems, but we do have a unique situation with a remodel, and ours is kind of a unique type of slide. I haven't seen this exact type of mechanism in too many other slides. So the age, the modifications, and all those things is why we still kind of use it in this. But if we get a new RV, like I said, we're not going to be using slide stabilizers, and I wouldn't recommend it for just about everybody out there. They're usually not a good idea. So I'm gonna leave a link down in the description to the Steady Fast and the Strong Arm if you're interested in trying to get some of that shake out of the RV when people are walking through and you just want the RV to be a little bit more stable when you're set up at your campsite. It's been absolutely fantastic. There's nothing out there that's gonna take that away 100%, but it is remarkable how much that it takes out and how much more comfortable it is inside of the RV. So I think that's gonna do it for today. That's my opinion on RV slide stabilizers, why I do not recommend them, but why we're using them on our RV. So hope that clears it up. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you wanna see more videos about RVing, hit that subscribe button. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.